Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 6 in C++ computer programming series, in which we are going to learn about selection control structures. My name is Memeji M, or you can simply call me Emily Swap. What is a selection control structure? Selection control structure is also called decision structure. These are control structures in which a set of statements are executed depending on the condition that has been met. So they are constructs for selecting the processing steps appropriate for particular data. The two main kinds of selection statements are the if statements and the switch case statements or switch statement. The if statement is a construct that is used to make the execution of a statement dependent upon a condition being satisfied. The three main varieties of the if statement in C++ programming are the simple if or if, the if else, and the nested if. What is an if construct? An if construct is a construct in which there is only one action that is taken if a condition is met. Its syntax is as follows. If condition, then do the following. If a condition evaluates to true, do the following. Execute a block of one or more statements that will be enclosed within the opening and the closing parentheses for the if condition or for the if structure. So that's how you write it. That's its syntax. So an example is if radius is greater than 5, so there's a condition that has to be checked. If the value entered is more than 5, that is when these statements will be done. The program or the compiler will compute the area of a circle and display it on the screen. So the statements enclosed by this opening and closing parentheses in blue, those statements simply form what you call a block. They will be executed. And once they're executed, then the program will proceed. If this compiler finds out that the value of radius entered is not more than 5, then this part of the section or this part of code will be skipped. It will not be executed. Therefore, the condition or the if condition is any relational comparison and must be enclosed in parentheses. In other words, whatever that is in the whatever that is forming the condition part, whatever that is here and the condition part must be a relational statement or expression for comparing something, checking out something, whether it is true or false. If it's true, the block of statements enclosed within the braces will be executed. If it is not correct, they will be skipped. The block of one or more statements to be executed are any valid C++ statements and expressions that are carried out only when the condition is met. Otherwise, the body of the if statement is skipped and the compiler executes the next statement that follows the if statement. The following is therefore an algorithm in the form of a flowchart and a program implementing if construct. It is for a program that prompts the user for a radius of a circle and computes its area only if the radius entered is more than 5 centimeters. My dear students and the rest of the learners, this example here, this example is for computing the area of a circle whose radius is greater than 5 centimeters. Meaning what? The area will not be computed if the value entered as radius will be less than 5 centimeters. So this is the flow chart. It's a algorithm in form of a flow chart. How is it behaving? One is we have the beginning. So we first of all assign 3.143 in memory location called pi. That is a constant. Then we request the user to enter radius. And that value of radius is read and stored in memory location called radius. The next is a condition for checking if the value that has been entered is less or is greater than 5. If it is found to be greater than 5, that is yes, what is under the yes root will be executed. That is, the value that has been entered as radius will be picked, be multiplied by itself, be multiplied by the value of memory location called pi, and the results will be stored in memory location called area. From there, the value that has been stored in memory location called area will be picked and be displayed on the screen. That is print area, and the program will end. Otherwise, if it is found, if the condition is checked once the radius has been entered, and it is found that the condition radius greater than 5 is not true, that is no, what will happen is that the sequence of statements for computing area and displaying on the screen will be skipped, just as you can see. So the no root will exit or will terminate the program. So the if structure only performs a set of actions or executes a block of statements or a statement if the condition that has been evaluated is true. Only if it is true. No alternative, no any other activity that will be carried out if the condition is wrong. So the following is an example of C++ program that you can code to compute the area of a circle as long as the radius is more than 5. So the first statement is a comment. The second one is a comment. This program computes the area of a circle whose radius is more than 5 centimeters. Then we have the hash include our string. Then using namespace std, that is the standard library. Then we have int main. We have the opening parentheses, opening braces. We have the opening braces there. Then the statement for declaring and assigning 3.142 in memory location called pi, whose value does not keep on changing during the program execution. Then we set the memory locations assigned, one for holding area, the value entered for area, and the value entered for radius, and they are of double type. Then we prompt the user for radius, enter the radius of a circle. So this statement will be displayed on the screen because that is Cout. Then we read the radius, and then we write out a new blank line for spacing purposes. Then we check the condition. Is the value which has been entered as radius more than 5? So if radius is greater than 5, do the following. Compute area. Pick the value that has been stored in radius, multiply by itself, multiply by the value of memory location called pi. The results, assign them in memory location called area. Then write out the area using the statement, or write out the following statement. The area of a circle's radius is whatever has been entered as radius is whatever that is in memory location called area, the results of processing. And then write out a new line. And then if that condition is not true, and don't execute what is in the loop or what is in the block. So if the condition is not true, if the radius is not more than 5, this part here will be skipped. This part will be skipped. And the control will be taken to the next line, which is return 0. So control will be taken back to the operating system, and then we end the program. So as you can see, my dear students and the rest of the learners, the if condition or a block of statements or a statement is executed only if the condition is met. Otherwise, nothing is done. So there's no second alternative for if false. So the following is an example of how this program will look like when output. So this program can be coded and executed as follows in Visual Studio C++ 2010 Express. And you can do this using any other version of C++ program. So once we have loaded C++ software, you can click on File, point on New, then Project. We click on Win32, Win32 console application. Then this project, we can call it if, that is area SAC if condition. Area SAC if. The location, I will obtain my location, but you can select yours. Then tick create directory for solution if it is not ticked, and click OK. Then we click on next on this dialog box. Click on the console application and empty project. Then click finish. Once we are here, we right click on source files, point on and click new item. Click on code, click on C++ file, then give your file the name. My file's name is, I'll call it if area SAC. That is, it is computing area of a circle using the if condition. I'll tell my location, then I'll just click on and. Let me copy my program here, the program for if, this one. But my dear students, note, you can type this code directly on your C++ editor, or you can write it in your exercise book, just as I've said, then type it in the editor, or type it using another editor like Microsoft Word, like the way I've typed mine here. So you can type it using any other editor, then copy it. Then go to your C++ editor and right-click there, click on paste. So this is my program for if control. You can see my if is here, so I can align my text nicely to make my program more readable, like that. Then I'll click on save button, save my source code. Then I'll compile. Compile, I'll click on build and then click build solution. Once I have done that, once I've clicked on build solution, at the bottom here, you can see that my compilation has been successful. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, if you type this code the way I have coded mine, I don't expect you to have any errors. And if you find any errors when you compile, you can always go through your source code so that you can debug it. So because mine is okay, it has no errors, I'll click on debug and then start without debugging. That is, I'm running my program. That is what we call running a program. Let me put my output screen here so that you can see. The first statement is, just as you can see in my source code, enter the radius of a circle. Let me enter 1. Remember, my if is, if radius is greater than 5. Currently, what is the value of my radius is 1. So if I press enter, we don't expect any area or any area to be computed. Let's see. Good. You can see they say press any key to continue. No calculation or no computation has been done. Let me press enter, and then I run again. I run my program by clicking on debug, then start without debugging. We are being asked the same thing. Enter the radius of a circle. This time, allow me to enter 7. If you check on this source code, if the value entered for radius is more than 5, so is 7 more than 5? Yes. So we expect the compiler to compute, or the process to compute the area of the circle and output it using this statement. The area of a circle whose radius is 7 is the value stored in memory location called the area. That is the resource of processing. So let me press enter. You can see the output statement reads the area of a circle whose radius is 7 is 153.958. And that's all. That's how you compute, or that's how you code a program for implementing the if structure or if condition. So the next selective structure is if-else construct. If-else construct. It is used to execute one of the two alternative statements depending on whether the condition evaluates to true or false. So in this construct, there is always an action or a block that will be executed when the condition evaluates to true and when the condition evaluates to false. Therefore, an action will always be taken when the condition evaluates to true or when it evaluates to false. However, it's only one block of statements that will be executed at any one given time. Either the block when the condition evaluates to true, that is yes, or the block when the condition evaluates to false, or no. So there's no time when both blocks will be executed. So its syntax is if condition evaluates to true, execute this block of statements. Otherwise, else. Otherwise, if the condition has evaluated to false, do the following. So, my dear students and the rest of the learners, if this condition evaluates to true, this is what will be done. This block will be executed. Otherwise, if the condition is not true, that is false, this section of code will be executed. Note the way I'm using my parentheses or my braces. You can see here I have the opening brace and the closing brace, the ones which are in blue in color. What is this? What will be executed, and then this part will be skipped. If the condition is false, this block will be skipped, and the compiler will work with the else part. So an example is if radius is more than 5. So if the radius is more than 5, it will compute the area of a circle and display it on the screen. What about if the condition is false? If what has been entered is found to be less than 5, then its perimeter will be computed and is also displayed. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, you can see that with this if-else construct, when the condition is true, a certain block of statements will be executed. When it's valued to false, the other block will be executed. But there's no time when both blocks, this one and this one, will be executed at the same time. So the following is an algorithm in form of a flowchart and a program for computing either the area of a circle when the radius entered is more than 5, or perimeter if the radius entered is less than or equal to 5. So this algorithm here is an illustration of how the if-else construct works. First of all, we begin. Then we assign 3.143 to a memory location called the pi, and then we request the user to enter radius, input radius, then check radius, check the condition. Is radius more than 5? If yes, that is, if true, the true pathway or path will be followed. So if it is true, pick the value in memory location called radius, multiply by itself, multiply by the value of memory location called pi, assign the results in the memory location called area. Then pick the content in memory location called area and display it on the screen. That is output area. What about, or once that is done, the program will exit. So we go to end. But if the condition evaluates to false, that is, if the value of memory location called radius is not more than 5, so it is less than 5 or equal to 5, the false pathway will be followed, or the false route. So the program will proceed, or the compiler will proceed, pick the value of memory location called radius, multiply by the value in memory location called pi, multiplied by 2, because that's computing perimeter, and store the result. Store the results gotten in memory location that has been set aside called perimeter. Then pick the content of memory location called perimeter and display the results on the screen and end the program. So at any time, if the condition is true, the area will be computed. If the condition is false, meaning radius is less than or equal to 5, then compute perimeter and display results on the screen. Now, this algorithm, we can implement it using code as follows. So this is the comment statement and also this comment statement. It says, computes the area of a circle if radius is greater than 5 centimeters, or a perimeter if radius is 5 centimeters or less. Then we have our string as include our string. Then we have using namespace, std, or standard library. I will not define what each of these statements means because I already covered this in the past. Then we have int main. Then we declare our constant variable, or our constant memory location called the pi, and we assign 3.14 into 8. Then we declare memory location called perimeter, area, and radius. Then we request the user to enter the radius of a circle. The user enters the value, and it is stored in memory location called radius. And then we write out a blank line. Then we check, is radius more than 5? If yes, pick the value of memory location called radius, multiplied by itself, multiplied by the value of memory location called pi, assign the results in memory location called area. Then write the following statement or output or display the following. The area of a circle's radius is what has been entered, is what has been computed, and write out a blank line. But if that condition is not true, do the else part, which is pick the memory or the value in memory location called radius multiplied by the value of memory location called pi, multiplied by 2, assign the results in memory location called perimeter, and then write out the following statement on the screen. See out, console out. The perimeter of this circle is, pick what is the memory location called perimeter, write it out, and drop the cursor down one line. Then end the computation. Return the control back to the operating system, that is return 0, and end the program. So you can see we have the else part and the if part. If condition is true, that block of statements will be executed, these ones. But if the condition is false, this block will be executed. Then return control back to the operating system and end the program. So the following, or this program that I've shown you, can be coded and executed as follows in Visual Studio, C++ 2010, and remember, you can still do it using any other version. So as usual, you load your C++ program, then click on File, New, and Project. I'll click on Win32, Win32 console application. Then type the name of my project as if else area Harry Sack. What does this name mean? It is implementing the structure if else to compute either area or perimeter of a circle. Remember to name your projects and your files in a way that you can know what they contain. I will not change my location, and then I will just click on OK. On this dialog box, click on Next. Click on the console application, empty project, then click on Finish. Once you are on this screen, right-click on Source Files, point on and click New Item. We are writing our source code, so we are going to click on Code, C++ file, and then under file name, I'll give it the name, which is if else area peri sac. Remember, you are free to name your files the way you want. Then I'll click on and. Once I'm on my editor, my dear students and rest of the learners, kindly note, you may not need to follow the entire process as you can see, because in this case, I'm using Visual Studio 2010 Express. If you're using any other type, like Falcon, C++, what is more important is for you to be able to arrive at the editor environment or IDE environment, integrated development environment, where you can code your source code from. Once you can be able to access this is what is more important. So what I'll do, I'll copy my program from my editor, that is from Microsoft Word. I'll go direct to my program, which I've already demonstrated to you, and that is this program. This is the program for if else that I've already demonstrated, but I've typed it here in Word. So I'll just copy my program the same way you can copy it from your editor. And then I'll paste it on my editor. Remember, you are free to code this or to type this text directly on your C++ editor. But because of time, that's why I'm copying mine and pasting. But this is the program that I've already demonstrated. Once you have your source code on the editor, click on Build, then Build Solution, and then wait for the output section to tell you the results. And you can see my build has been successful. So my program has been successfully compiled. That's what it means. If you are using another version which does not have build, you just need to choose the option for compile. Once compile is successful, you'll be told, and if there are any errors, you'll still be told. So ours is successful. So I'll proceed and run my program by clicking on debug and then start without debugging. And this is my output screen. Let me put it here. Enter radius of a circle. So we are being requested for the area, just as you can see, the passive out statement. So if I enter 2, the next thing is that 2 will be stored in memory location called radius. And then the condition will be checked. If radius is more than 5, is 2 more than 5? No. So the first block will be skipped and the else part will be executed, meaning that the value that has been entered is less than or equal to 5. So if I press enter, you can see the section that has been computed is for perimeter. So perimeter has been computed and displayed, as you can see from this statement here for C out. Perimeter is 12.568. Let me press enter or indicate to continue and repeat again. Let me debug again and click on start without debugging. That is how to run a program in C++, Visual Studio 2010, but you can also start with debugging, but the process or steps will be slower, speed will be less. So enter the radius of a circle. If I enter 5, which section will be computed? It is for perimeter. Because we have said that if value entered as radius is more than 5, that is when area should be computed. Otherwise, it's the perimeter which should be computed. I'll press indicate to continue. Then I repeat again, start without debugging. Now, if I enter my radius being more than 5, for example, I enter 12, which section of the if will be executed? Is it the if or the else? If radius is more than 5, is 12 more than 5? Yes. So we expect it to compute the area and display the area, that portion of code. So I'll press enter, and you can see we are being told that the area of a circle whose radius is 12 is 452.448. So that is the section which has been executed. So I can press enter key. Always remember to make your program more readable. So like this brace here can move a little bit there. Like that. So that's how you code your program implementing if, else construct. So as you have just seen, my dear students, the rest of the learners, with this being your C++ program, you have seen that the if part, this first section here, if condition is true, the area has been computed. But when it is false, it is the perimeter which has been computed. So let's proceed and learn about nested if construct. What is a nested if construct? This construct is used in situations whereby there are several options available from which only one needs to be taken depending on the condition that is met. Therefore, nesting in this case simply means that an if statement is used within another if statement. In other words, the difference between nested if and if else is that for if else, only one condition was checked. If it is true, a block was executed. If it was false, another one was executed. Now, those were only two options. But in this case, for nested if, there are several options that you can take. The syntax for this construct is if condition 1, if the first condition evaluates true, then execute a certain block of statement, block of one or more statements to be executed when condition 1 is true. Else, if you now have a second condition, if the first condition is not met, check the second condition. If it's evaluated true, execute those block of statements. Else, if condition 3 has been met, if condition 1 is not met, 2 is not met, check condition 3. If condition 3 is met, execute as block of statements when condition 3 is met. Continue that way all the way. And then if none of those conditions are met, none of them is met, you can do the last block. You can execute the last statement. So if condition 1 is not true, condition 2 is not true, condition 3 is not true, condition n is not true, do the last action, which is if none of those conditions are met, then execute a block of one or more statements. So that's how we write it. So here's an example. The following is therefore an algorithm in form of a flowchart and a program illustrating this construct. It is for a program which computes perimeter of a circle if radius is less than 5. Area of a circle if radius is between 5 and 10 centimeters. Or compute both perimeter and area if radius is more than 10, but not more than 15. Otherwise, if a radius has been entered which is more than 15, the message to be displayed should be, the circle is too big and the calculation can't be done. So you can see there are several alternatives. The first condition is radius less than 5. Second condition is radius less than 10 or more than 5 but less than 10. Next condition, if none of those are met, the next condition is checked. Is radius more than 10 but less than 15? Lastly, if none of them are met, display the message that the circle is too big and nothing can be done. So the following is an algorithm for it using a flowchart. You can see. Start, assign the value of pi to be 3.143. Assign a 3.143 to pi. Then prompt for radius. Next, check radius. Is radius more than 5? If yes, compute perimeter. So the first part will be followed for yes. Compute perimeter by picking value of radius multiplied by value of pi multiplied by 2. Store the value in perimeter and then pick what is in perimeter and display it on the screen and stop. That's the first part. Otherwise, if radius is not less than 5, meaning it is more. So if it is not less than 5, that is, follow the pathway for no. Then next, check now the second condition. Is the radius greater than or equal to 5? And it is less than or equal to 10? So if the radius is there, if that condition is true, that means yes. Then compute the area. Pick the value of memory location called radius, multiplied by itself, multiplied by the value of memory location called the pi. Store the results in memory location called the area. Pick the content in memory location called the area, display it on the screen, and stop. Otherwise, if radius is not less than 5, that condition was done away with. Then it is not between 5 and 10. Next, check if it is more than 10 and less than 15. That's that condition. If that condition evaluates to true, that is yes. Do two things. Compute area and compute perimeter. Display the value of area and the value of perimeter. Otherwise, if it is not less than 5, it is not between 5 and 10, it is not between 10 and 15, then this program will not compute any area or perimeter. It will just display the message. This circle is too big and the calculation can't be done, and the program will stop. Now, next is, how do we code it? So this is an example of such a program for nested if. That is my comment. It is area per the circle, nested if. Then it computes area. It computes either area or perimeter, or both area and perimeter of a circle, or none of that is done based on the radius entered, or none. Hash include outstream using namespace std for standard statement for indicating the main function beginning, then assigning 3.14 to memory location called pi, setting perimeter or set perimeter and area and radius assigned to store values, then prompt the user for radius, read the value that has been entered, then check if radius is less than 5, if what has been entered is less than 5. If it is true that it is less than 5, compute perimeter using this expression, compute perimeter, then display the value of perimeter on the screen and end the program. Otherwise, that is else, check if the value of radius is more than or equal to 5 and less than or equal to 10. My dear students and rest of the learners, kindly know the syntax. how I'm coding my syntax. Then, if that is true, compute area as follows and display area. Otherwise, check the next condition. Is radius greater than 10 but less than 15? If yes, calculate the area, display area on the screen, compute perimeter, and display perimeter as follows, and end the program. Otherwise, display the message, this circle is too big and the calculation can't be done. So that's what we call nested if. Return control back to the operating system and end the program. Note, under the ifs, what is ending is not the program. It is that section of code. So like if this first condition is true, what is here will be executed up to this brace, and then all the other sections of the if condition will be skipped. And the next statement immediately after the last if statement or the else statement, that statement is the one which will be executed. Otherwise, if the second condition is met, what is here is what will be executed, this part, and the rest will be skipped. So let me skip the rest of the parts and go to the last statement immediately after the last else. And that statement that will be executed is return 0 and end the program. So let's see how this program behaves in C++. Visual Studio, C++ 2010 Express. So what I'm going to do, just as I've shown you for the others, I'll copy my program, paste it in my editor, and then we compile and see how the output will look like. So, having begun our C++ program, load the editor by following the following process for Visual Studio 2010. New project. Click Win32, select Win32 console application. Then type the name of my project. The name of our project is nested if. So it's nested if area peri circle. I'm writing it this way because we are going to compute area, perimeter, or area and the perimeter using nested if condition. Then I'll click OK. Then I'll click on next, choose console application, empty project, then click finish. My dear students and the rest of the learners, if you don't know what I'm doing, kindly go through part 1 to part 5 of the series because the explanations are there. Next is right-click on source files, point on and click new item. We want to write C++ code for nested if, so I'll click on the code, then select C++ file. And the name, give it a name. I'll still call it nested if area peri circle, meaning I'm using nested if condition to compute area, perimeter, or area and perimeter of a circle. Then I'll click add. But I will not change my location. Now here we are. Remember, you can use any other set of steps based on the version you are using for C++ to arrive to the editor screen or IDE environment or integrated development environment from where you can code from. So this is the beginning point of the coding process. So here, once you are here, you can type your program or you can copy your source code that you have typed somewhere else and paste it here. So for my case, I'll copy it. So I'll go to my program for nested if, this one, which I've already typed. So I'll just select it. I'll just select it as already demonstrated. So select it and click on the copy, or right click on it and copy it. Then I'll go to my editor here Right click on this editor and click on paste. So that's my nested if source code. This is source code. I have copied it exactly as I have demonstrated in this program. This is the source code that I've already typed. So if you copy this code exactly as you can see it on my presentation, exactly as you can see it, you can type it even in Word or write it in your exercise book, and then type it in the editor. Or you can just copy and paste it if you have typed it, for example, in Microsoft Word. So once your program is here, just as you can see mine is here. You can always ident your source code nicely so that it looks presentable like that. I want to ident these sections so that my program is readable. We have the other else if. So this part will also be executed if that is a section of code in which the condition has evaluated to true. Then we have the else if none of the conditions evaluates to true. The last statement will be executed, return 0, then we end the program. So I'll save my program. Always remember to save your work. Click on build. I want to compile, so click on build solution. Let's see if our output will indicate an error. Good. You can see from our output section here that our compilation has been successful and there has been no failure. If there's any failure or there's an error, you can always go through your program step by step as to identify where your problem is. And then once you do the rectification, you save it. Now, once your compilation has been successful, next is to compile it, is to run it, to execute it. So click on debug or click on start without debugging. So this is my output screen, my dear students and the rest of the learners. So let me place it here. You can see it is requesting for radius. Enter the radius of a circle. So that is this statement here, and it is waiting for us to enter radius. So if I enter 2, what will happen? Or press enter. Which part of this code has been executed? It is where radius is less than 5. So which section is that? It is the first one. So we have computed perimeter. Let me press enter and repeat again. Debug, start without debugging. And then I can choose, for example, now 6. So 6 is between 5 and 10. So what we expect to do or to see is to compute the area of a circle. So if I press enter, you can see we are told the area of this circle is 113.112, meaning the section that has been executed is the one which is checking whether the radius is more than or equal to 5, but less than or equal to 10. I'll press indicate continue, and then I build my program or I build my code again. Now, let me enter 10. We see what will be done. So type 10 and press enter. We are being told that the area of a circle is 3.14. Wow, how? Does it mean that if 10 is entered, we shall still compute only the area? Let's see. Which section is this? Yeah, it is true because this condition is if radius is greater than or equals to 5 and less than or equal to 10. So we have on the enter 10. Let me enter 12. Let me debug again, start without debugging. And then now I type, for example, 13 and press enter. So for 13, you can see several things are being done. So radius is greater than 10 and less than 15. So that's the range. So if that condition is met, area is computed and displayed, perimeter is computed and displayed. Let me press enter and enter another value of radius. If I enter 23, which part of the code will be executed? Which part of the nested if? It will be the last one. If radius is more than 15. So you're getting the message. This circle is too big and the calculation can't be done. Therefore, my dear students, the rest of the learners, you can see that nested if has several conditions, and when each of the conditions is checked, something is done. But if none of the conditions are met, the last option for else is executed. The last selected control structure is called the switch construct. Now, the switch construct is similar to a nested if construct in terms of the way it functions. The only difference is it simplifies the code instead of having very many nested ifs. So for this reason, even its algorithm in form of a flowchart is similar. So as a result, I'm not going to demonstrate the flowchart for switch because it's the same one for nested if. The only difference is that instead of the if-else statements, we now have the case statements. Its syntax is as follows. Switch expression. Once the expression has been done, the result of the expression will determine which case will be executed. If the first expression, expression evaluates to a value, which is constant 1, then the first case statement will be executed. Otherwise, the next one will be executed. Otherwise, the other one will be executed. So if, for example, the expression evaluates to 1, the compiler will go direct to case constant 1, execute the block of statements there, and exit from the loops or the blocks. So if the one which evaluates to true, or if the expression gives a value which is n, for example, 20, that block of statement will be executed. Otherwise, the default statement will be executed if none of the cases will be met is the default part. So the default section contains block of statements to be executed if none of the conditions are met. It is like the last else for nested if. And then edit a switch. So that's how we write it. So the switch statement evaluates the expression and then looks for its value among the case constants. If the value is found among the constants listed, then the statement in that list is executed. Otherwise, if there is a default, which is optional, the program branches to that default statement. Note that the expression must evaluate to an integer type, and that the constants must be integer constants, which only includes char or character. The expression part can therefore be a single value of integer or char type, or an expression that evaluates to integer or character. The case labels, that is integer identifying the choices, do not have to be in sequence. Then, with each case statement, we include a function for exiting the current loop once execution of the block is complete, and that is break. The format for break is just break with semicolon. The following is therefore a program illustrating the switch case constructs. It is for a program just like this one for nested if that we have looked into. It computes perimeter of a circle if radius is less than 5, area if radius is between 5 and 10, both the perimeter and the area if radius is more than 10 but less than 15, or it displays the message that the circle is too big and the calculation can't be done if radius is more than 15. So as usual, that's my comment statement, and this other one, it computes either area or perimeter or both area and perimeter of a circle or none at all. Then that is if radius is beyond the recommended value. So we have the outstream. As include outstream, we are using namespace STD, which are compulsory for C++ programs in Visual Studio 2010 and also other versions. Then you have the main function there. We have the declaration for our constant assignment of a value. Then we have declaring memory locations assigned for perimeter, area, and radius. And then now we have a new variable here called radii. The case does not work with numbers decimal points. That's what we are saying. It only works with an integer, a whole number, or a character, a single character. And therefore, this new variable here is for holding a rounded figure. Because you know that radius can be having decimal section, can have a fraction. So, but case does not work with doubles. It does not work with values or variables in fractional parts. It only works with whole numbers. So we have to round it. So that's why I have introduced the variable called radii, which I'll be using for my case or in my switch statement. Then we request the user for radius within the value of radius. Once you have read, we round that value entered to a whole number using the function floor. So we round it. It converts radius into an integer value so that that value is used in switch. Then from there, we can now have it as switch radii. Remember, this radii can be an expression. The switch, the part enclosed in parentheses, can be an expression. It does not need to be a value directly because the result of that expression is what matters. Then we have case 0 to 4, meaning if the value of radii or radius is between 0 to 4, note each of those are written as separate case. So we have case 0, case 1, case 2, case 3, and case 4. That is called a range. And that's how we write it using case. So if the value for radii or radius is between 0 and 4, then we compute perimeter of our circle. And then we display the value of perimeter. And we come out of the switch. We go to the next statement immediately after the end of switch by using the reserved one or function break. We use the one or the term break. Then we move on to the next case. So if the next value evaluates to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, that range from 5 to 10, 10 inclusive, then we compute the area, we display the area. And then we come out of the case or that section of code and go to the next statement immediately after the end of switch. Then we have case 11, 12, 13, and 14. So if radius is 11, 12, 13, or 14, then we are going to compute area, perimeter, and then display perimeter on the screen and area on the screen. And we break. We come out of that loop or that section of code, not loop, but that section of code. We branch out. Now, if none of those cases are met, 0 all the way to 14, it means that the section of switch that should be evaluated is the default. If none of those cases are met, none of those conditions are correct or are met, then we display the message, the circle is too big and the calculation can't be done. And we end the case. We end the switch, we return the control back to the operating system and end the program. So the following is an example of how that program can be coded in C++ and the results of execution. So this is how we do it. So as usual, I'll click on File menu, point on New, click on Project, click on Win32, Win32 console application, and then type the name of my project, which will be switch, area, perimeter, circle. I'll not change the location. I'll just click on OK. Then click on next. Click on the console application, empty project, because we are beginning. Then click on finish there. Once we are here, you right click on source files, point on and click new item. Click code because you want to write source code and it's of type C++ file. So click on C++ file and then under name below here, I'll erase what is there and type the name of my program, which is a switch area and peri of circle. My location will remain. So let me click on and. Once we are on our editor, we are now ready to begin typing our source code. So if you have typed it in another editor, like we have done it, I've typed mine in one. So I'll just copy it, or you just copy that software, that program, that source code, paste it on the editor and proceed. So let me move on to my editor, which is Microsoft Word. I'll go to switch section and I'll copy my program from there. This is my program that I've already displayed to you. So I'll select it and select on copy. So there's the program that is implemented case, which I've already shown you. So from there, I'll go back to my C++ editor here. I'll right click and paste my source code there. Once I have my source code for switch, yeah, I can compile it. But first of all, I should save it. So let me save my source code. There we go. You can see it has been added the name. It has been added an extension .cpp. Then I will debug. I will compile. I will compile by clicking on build and then build solution. If your program has errors, it will display. But if my program has no errors, we are going to see success message. Good. You can see that our build has been successful and there is zero failure. So our program is now ready to be executed. How do we execute? In Visual Studio 2010, you click on debug, then start without debugging. However, note, if you're using another version that has execute or run, you select that. So click on start without debugging. Let's see how our case will behave. Let me scroll a little bit. There we go. Let's see how our program is going to be behaving. So enter the radius of our circle. If I enter 4.7 and press enter, which part of the case has been executed? It is the one for perimeter. And which section is dealing with perimeter? Is this first case here. So case 0 to 4, compute perimeter and break. So that's the part which has been executed. This part here, this section of code. What about if I enter, let me run and execute and let me cancel here. So let me click again on debug, start without debugging. We are being told there's a change, so save it fast. There we go. If I enter value like 14 and press enter, which part of the code has been executed? Let's see. Is this part, case 11, 12, 13, 14. We have the area, we have perimeter, and then we break. What about if I enter, if I run it and enter another value, like that 45 and press enter. You can see we are being told, we can see the part which has been executed is the last part, the default part. This one here, which says the circle is too big and the calculation can't be done. So you can see that the switch construct is similar to nested if construct. And that's how we work with switch. And with that, my dear students and the rest of the learners, we have come to the end of part 6 of the series. You can now continue to part 7 of the series, in which we are going to learn about iterative control structures. Congratulations for learning part 6 in C++ computer programming series by the title Selection Control Structure. You can access the rest of the parts in the series, as well as other computer or ICT videos by clicking or tapping on EmilySwap ICT YouTube channel below this video. To subscribe to the channel, tap on subscribe button below this video in YouTube if it's not currently reading as subscribed. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email emilyswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me. Let's meet in part 7 of this series, and God bless.